Yeah, push day today. We're doing a more like hypertrophy output focused push day. Other day we have skill, like we have a barbell bench press in, we have a Smith machine bench press in. Today's mainly machine work, mainly isolation work, so we'll hop into that next. I think I talked ad nauseum about warming up on our pull day yesterday, so we'll post that video. Just keep it simple, whatever makes your shoulders feel good. If you have like shoulder issues, like very specific shoulder issues, and you can't really get a good warm up, you can go watch the other video, get an idea of what to look at. But for today, we're just doing like 2 or 3 things. Joey's shoulder's feeling a little bit stiff. I was making the flex tape joke earlier. Usually he lacks ER, so I like to get him into a position where he can get externally rotated, maintain that position. Tends to be high cable curl. It works well for him. Also, like most people are gonna want to do more curls if you give them a chance to. So instead of doing some boring banded bullshit or boring stretches, whatever it is, we're just gonna integrate it as biceps. For our A1 today, we're gonna go machine chest press. We've had shoulder press in first, but a pretty good teaching point is like exercise order definitely matters, but if you're in a busy gym, if your shit's taken, it's not the end of the world if you have to switch things around. So today we're gonna go A1 flat machine press. It's our main like pec output. B1 we're gonna go with the shoulder press. That'd be our main like shoulder like overhead output work. So kind of our layout, it's like load it, isolate it. So get something that's more compound in nature. Load it. Mechanical conditions to be the main driver of hypertrophy. So we're gonna load it. Later we're gonna do shoulder press, load it, and we're gonna do lateral raises, and then pec fly.
Yeah.
The incline pec fly. Kind of our layout for today. Finish off some tricep work. Tuck your elbows a hair more, just a hair. Yeah. Nice. It's a good point with me, treat your warm-up sets like your working sets, so don't rush to your warm-up sets. Also, there's no hard rule for how many warm-up sets you need to do. We just did, a little more elaborate warm-up for like our A series, but we only did 2 plates warm-up. Everything felt good. Check engine light wasn't on. We jumped straight to 4 plates. Felt good. There's no like, you need to do like 10 here, 5 here, 3 here, whatever. Like, I like having a structured layout, but like when you feel good, go for it.
I might get more if you straddle me, bro.
If I have to straddle you, it's just a plus.
It's like the old memes of like people like benching more weight when the girl sits on their lap or whatever.
Yeah. When I straddle you, you get more reps.
When my gym partner straddles me, I get even more reps than that.
B1 today is gonna be the Viking press right here, standing. First in our program, we had this seated like nebula press over here, so a little bit more external stability sitting down. Now we're moving to standing up. Maybe a little bit more limitations on output considering the demands on our core to brace ourselves underneath, but it's kind of what we want to build into. We're trying to build into more of a strength block, and then we're trying to build it into more of something that's going to carry over more for Joey like on the field. So obviously his demands as a kicker aren't very high, but still trying to build some more core strength, trying to integrate some more things as opposed to just training like a meathead.
Huge.
Huge.
Huge. Yeah, and even a machine like this too. So this is something we can switch out if we want to make this more of a skill-based exercise. We can do a standing military press. We can do a seated dumbbell military press. It's going to be a little bit more focused on like the stability of the movement because it's a free weight and it's not machine. It doesn't have these like fulcrums that we can push off of. It's going to be a lot more of an isolated or stability in nature of the movement because we got to stabilize our body in those different planes. With this is a lot more stable for a machine, so it requires less stability of the body. Therefore, we can load it heavier, we can push output. If you guys don't have a machine like this at your gym, again, you can change this exercise out for a seated military press with a barbell. You can do standing military press, barbell, standing dumbbell press, or seated military dumbbell press. There's also some hammer strength machines I know that are a little bit different of an angle of a push, but it's still working primarily delt.
Even like Smith machine,
Yeah.
something more stabilized. The landmine, I love a landmine because almost everybody has a barbell.
Yeah.
Shove it in the corner somewhere.
Yeah, depending on where you're working out, there's different ways that you can still reach the same stimulus. For us, we're lucky enough that we have a machine that's going to be a little bit more pressed towards our output focus. So we can load this as heavy as we want, get in a good position, the machine's stable, so we can push output. But obviously, if you have different machines and a lack of machines in your gym, there's different ways to still hit what we're doing. You're just going to have to be focused on a little bit more skill, a little more stability in the body versus what we're doing right now.
Good, chest down, chest down, chest down. Nice. So you'll see with this, Joey's trying to like resort as he gets tired, and this is like a very common thing, into like lumbar extension, like it's like an extension posture, right? We're trying to almost like manipulate our body to make it easier to get overhead. So cue I gave him was chest down. We're trying to keep a stacked rib over pelvis. Something you hear a lot. All we're really trying to do is give ourselves the most internal stability as possible, so we have a good base for output. C1.
Huh?
C1?
C1.
Yeah, going cable fly. So our main like chest isolation movement. Cable's taken, you can do a pec deck, you can do any sort of like plate loaded machine fly. We're already doing a plate loaded fly another day, so we added this in. We're only doing one fly per week, right, before?
We were only doing one.
Yeah, we move things around a little bit, so adding in a second fly variation, we're going with cables, a little bit less loadable, so it's a good segue into some progressions and be more loadable as far as like modality goes. And when I say modality, I mean like cable, dumbbell, pec deck, like plate loaded machines, right? Like cable is probably the least loadable, plate loaded machine or dumbbell is probably the most loadable. So we can kind of scale those accordingly across blocks.
Something important too with these. So when Nick gets his feet in this position, he's stabilizing. He's locking that position in with his lower body and really trying to create tension and movement only through his shoulder arm path. If he starts rocking in and out of it, he loses that stability, and it's a lot more of like a jerky movement, like you're just jerking the weight down. So we want to stay like a lot more like, once we set that position, that's the stability of this exercise, and then we're just working from the shoulder versus like flying into it. You're taking a lot of tension off the chest, which we're trying to target, and putting them elsewhere, whether it's almost like hip extension, like all this other stuff. Like we want to stay within the chest. So make sure that when we get in any position you want to stabilize in, whether it's tall, squeezing through the back glute, or down in almost like this sprinter stance, but really locking in our body. We're staying in retraction, protraction, trying to squeeze the chest as much as we can.
2-3 sets, 8 to 12 RPE Terry Crews. All right, so D1, we're gonna go cross body tricep extensions. General layout for a upper body day. I like to get something overhead, something more horizontal in nature, something in shoulder extension. So that way from like a movement variability standpoint, we're kind of checking all the boxes of shoulder function that we can. So we already checked off horizontal press, checked off overhead. Now we're getting into shoulder extension, doing our main tricep output for the day. It's so fucking annoying that there's like this notion that bodybuilding exercises and like functional exercises have to be separate, as if you have to do some like squat university like banded bullshit to do shoulder rehab or to do like hip rehab. But in reality, like you can just combine the two. It's like this is a exercise that you'll see a lot of bodybuilders doing. It's a great hypertrophy exercise. Done correctly, it's also a great way to get some exposure to shoulder extension, scapular depression, using our triceps and our roller to stabilize our shoulder as they attach to the scapula on the back side right there. So it doesn't have to be like, you know, this or that. It can be this and that in a lot of cases, as in like train
bodybuilders get a bad rap.
Finishing up E1 to your main delt isolation work. So just doing this Atlantis machine, lateral raise. If you don't have this, you can do dumbbells, chest supported, you can do cables, any sort of like delt, like lateral raise machine is fine. Just kind of check that box. 2 sets, 8 to 12 reps. Getting set up on here. As far as like active range of motion, where our delts can do the most work. Swinging around, neutral shoulder position here, maybe like right above shoulder height. We're not gonna be going all the way up here. We want to get our arms slightly forward in the scapular plane. Like, you hear that word a lot. Really, it's just going to be where our shoulders are going to be the strongest. So our rotator cuffs are going to be able to stabilize our shoulder the best. It's where our scaps are going to sit on our rib cage. It's a stable position, so high stability, high output. Take it to the house. If you leave reps in reserve on this, I hate you.
Said I hate you? I was just gonna put a audio "Take It to the House" the entire time you're doing this set. Take it to the house, take it to the house.
Push day, done and dusted, high output, low skill. We do chest output, vertical, shoulder output, pec isolation, tricep isolation, and then shoulder isolation. So 5 things, set it up right, go hard, high intensity, high proximity to failure, close proximity to failure. Doesn't need to be super intricate. Just make sure you cover this full range of shoulder flexion, shoulder extension.
So save this for your chest day, your chest and shoulder day, and just get after it. Peace.